are the three co-founders of the LAM Sisterhood. And the LAM Sisterhood is an award-winning international content studio that fills the world with stories for African women to feel seen, heard, and beloved. It's why we exist. Exactly. Wow. We want to make ourselves feel seen, heard, and beloved, and all of you feel seen, heard, and beloved. And we create content in multiple mediums. And the three of us got together in 2018 to create a stage play called Brazen, Uninvisibling the Lives of Kenyan Women in History. And that show brought us together, and we enjoyed working together so much that we built this company. And we're a small, nimble team, but we work with a lot of expert partners. So our team includes producers, an art director, marketing lead, IP lawyers, because we have to be careful about our IP, accounting, partners and collaborators in various fields, project-based.
Today we do many different things, but we wanted to focus on our primary product that we developed during the Innovators-In-Residence program. And the question I want to ask you is, are you worried about what your kids are listening to and watching? What do they watch? Is it Cocomelon? I saw Baby Shark over there. And let me ask a more specific question. How many of your children, does your child consume any content by African storytellers? Any? You'd raise your hand if the answer is yes. No hands are up. It's a very clear problem. We want our children to have access to content made by us, for us, that celebrates them for who they are. So they know exactly where they come from. They know how proud they should be of who they are. And thank you, yes, clap for me. It's a good quote. And to make it really specific, there's a wonderful quote by Dr. Joyce Nyro that we really go back to all the time. Because our national archives are so depleted and state-inscribed amnesia is so entrenched, we need our life writing to fill in the gaps of every facet of our history, political, economic, social, cultural, and intellectual. So this is our solution.
Enormous colorless frogs, stolen songs, and a dancing girl filled with fire. Ferocious wars, bleeding shadows, and a nameless woman turned greatest spy. Saseni, my name is Auntie Shishi, and I'm going to tell you stories of powerful queens, unfair rules, and tiny girls with huge hearts. In Brazen, little ones and their big ones can learn all about brazen African women. These are our stories. We mythologize our heroes so that every child can imagine themselves as Mekatilili Menza, as Queen Jinga, as Fatima and Mariam Al-Fikri, as the forever secret spy of the Nandi, as every woman who has come before them. Created by the award-winning content studio, the LAM Sisterhood, Brazen introduces children to our complex and rich histories through what we have always done best: storytelling. Welcome to Brazen, the podcast. Find out more on www.kabrazen.com. That's www.kabrazen.com.
Thank you. That's our solution. It's high-quality, engaging content for children that honors their imagination. This is our solution to the problem, and we're so proud of the Brazen podcast. It is for children between the ages of 4 to 9 years old, though we're finding that even their big ones really love it. It's for everyone who's got a little child in them. In every episode, we tell the story of a different brazen African woman. And currently and always, it will be free to air so that every child around the continent and the diaspora can access it. We are in the middle of season 1. We've launched 4 episodes so far. And as aunties ourselves, the 3 of us really understand the power of having every child be the center of their universe.
And it's because we got to know each other through the writing process of Brazen, hence Brazen, that we discovered this. We wanted to create this special thing for our nibblings and kids everywhere. And because it mythologizes our heroes, every child can imagine themselves as the brazen African women who have come before them. We have 4 episodes out, 3 visuals from 3 of those episodes. So meet in the left corner, my left, your left.
Dancing.
I got that right.
The one dancing.
The one dancing. That's Mekatilili Wamenza from Kenya. Kenyan history, yes. Some of you know Mekatilili.
Yes,
amen,
she deserves
amen,
applause.
amen. She does. And she was a resistance leader, and we reimagine her tale as the girl who will not let the colorless frogs steal their songs. She sings, I will dance, sing, I will dance.
I will dance.
I will sing.
I will sing.
I will not let you win.
I will not let you win.
Now with focus. I will dance.
I will dance.
I will sing.
I will sing.
I will not let you win.
I will not let you win.
That's what you tell every challenger, and that's what Mekatilili does in episode 1 of Brazen. And in our second episode, Queen Jinga from Angola. Meet the girl who could untie any knot. And by any knot, I mean any knot. Look at her on that throne. Doesn't she look powerful? Yeah. Right? And Fatma and Mariam Al-Fikhri looking at their designs for the first university in the world ever in Morocco. Does anybody know what that university is called?
Listen to Brazen.
Listen to Brazen, episode 3. And finally, missing from here is our 4th episode that reimagines the myth of Luanda Magere from the perspective of the girl who brought him down, a quiet girl. This is high quality production value. It's world class with people around the world listening to this podcast. It's research driven. All of these women existed, and we spend a lot of time reading research packs before we reimagine their tales for children. It's African feminist lens, but the 3 of us are African feminists, and we focus our storytelling energies through an African feminist lens, and it's continuous testing. From the Mekatilili episode, which was the first one that we wrote, we tested with a live audience, to Queen Jinga, which we also tested with a live audience, and Fatma and Mariam, which we shared with the people in our circles. We get feedback from the children in our community and the parents in our community and guardians and aunties to make the product better. But one moment. Before you question me, why don't you hear from the audience? This is what the kids had to say.
How did it make you feel, the story?
It made me feel inspired, and like girls can do anything as long as they put their mind to it.
First of all, I really loved the stories that she told us. They were very interesting, but the most favorite one that I heard of was the story of Jinga, which she was a brave woman who defeated her enemies. It showed me bravery and courage that I'm able to do some things.
This is the first time I've ever heard of a word called Brazen.
How did the stories make you feel?
Excited. Happy. I really like the stories. They're really fun. It's amazing.
That last kid at the end is my favorite. It's amazing. And he's actually one of the audience members who we did a live testing for. But what about the parents? What do the adults think?
The best feeling I got from it is just being happy that the kids are learning about these stories this early, because for me or most of us, the adults, we got to know them way later when our curiosity was now taking us to learn them.
I wish I had them when I was younger, though. Yeah, because now they get the chance of growing up hearing, powerful women and African stories.
She even came to me and she was like, did that actually? I'm like, yes, that actually happened. Those girls existed. So I found that to be really, really unique, and I loved it.
Thank you. The most important audience is always the little ones.
Always.
So as I mentioned, we have released 4 episodes of season 1. The goal at this stage was to discover how to create a high quality product and test the viability of its potential in the global audience. And so far, these are some of our season 1 wins. We have the Yoto player, who has an audience of 1.5 million users globally, who've asked us if they can put Cabrazen on all of their players so that children around the world can listen to the stories of brazen African women. Yeah, thank you. The Aga Khan Foundation will be partnering with them to put Cabrazen on the players for thousands of community libraries so that children can create stories and playful learning through these episodes. We have managed to secure $200,000 in funding through, thank you. And we'll be testing out what it looks like to now develop the Kiswahili translations of Cabrazen, as well as developing French translations, and we have funding now to produce season 2. Thank you. And yeah, those are some of our wins. Oh, of course, the most important. Can you say it with me? That's always our compass. Do the kids love it? If they do, we're winning.
So, when we're thinking about our markets, we really spent a lot of time debating what kind of product we want to make and why. We knew we wanted to make something for children. We knew we wanted it to be accessible. And that's how we landed on the podcast. One of our partners that we've developed is through the Cabrazen Consortium, which is a project that's going to test how Cabrazen works across the value chain, from creative direction to production to distribution and marketing. And they are expert podcast researchers. We're so excited to partner with Africa Podcast Festival. And in their last 3 years of research, they have found that in the African audience, majority of listeners are women, and we already know that women are the primary caregivers in most homes across the world. Further, there's a hunger for children's storytelling. A small podcast, Story Pirates in the US, has 24,000 monthly listeners just on Spotify, I believe. And the Shujaz, which is a really huge comic, sold 2 million copies a month for a series of time. So we know there's a potential for large-scale listenership and access. We also know that podcasting specifically, according to NPR and Edison research in 2021, in the categories of children and family, there's been a 20% increase since 2019. And finally, we're still in Africa. Our content is largely for Africans, and in Africa, radio is still king. Franz Kruger, director of its Radio Academy in South Africa, said, radio reaches far more people than any other media on the continent. We know that a podcast episode is the prime medium to access the majority of people, not just here, but globally. And we also found that children love it. They can listen and pay attention while doing other activities, and their attention span, shockingly to us, is much higher than for adults. And so we've seen how they learn and can echo these stories that they listen to when they play the podcast episodes. So yeah, that's what we think about our market. And in this journey, we've won a lot of awards. The LAM Sisterhood creates a lot of other products, but what I wanted to focus on for today is the Ignite Culture Fund. So that was 156,000 euro in funding to develop the Cabrazen Consortium. And so that's the partnership with us as the creative leads, building out what the Cabrazen universe will look like, from the illustration and coloring books and the podcast episodes to the production partner who will be leading translations in different languages, and finally our marketing and distribution partner, Africa Podcast Festival, who's gonna figure out what does it actually take to have this really unique yet necessary medium access everybody on the continent. What do the real numbers look like? It's a new and emerging field. It's very easy to come up here and throw out things, but we're always invested in getting concrete data, concrete figures. So that's what we're developing over the next 6 months, investing a lot of time in research before we start rolling out our second season next year. And so for our business model, we're currently in our first phase, so concept development, woohoo, ticked off. Thank you, Innovators-In-Residence program. We're doing a lot of market testing and research, and it's through this that we develop the relationships with Yoto Player, Aga Account Foundation. It's because we're interested in this being free to user, it's been wonderful to discover that there's partners who are hungry for this. We're even in conversation with the Toronto Public Library to put this in their dial-in, can't remember the name, but you call in and you can listen to a story. They're really invested in putting it on their platform. So there's a huge hunger through partners for distribution. We're also very interested in distribution partnerships, both traditional like radio and also some unusual one, education partners, schools. Our next phase is increasing our listenership and followership. How do we get the actual podcast to have huge numbers? Can we get ad buys, commercial partners who are interested in advertising to the audiences that we're building? Merchandising, we have beautiful artwork from our art director. T-shirts, notebooks. I had a parent yell at me that their kid is like, why can't I have a Mekati Lily pen? So we know there's a hunger already. And our third phase in our kind of 2-year plan is syndication and licensing. Podcasts have been syndicated across the continent. We're really interested in what does it look like when the episodes are syndicated for different mediums. Translation into multiple languages. We've already begun with Kiswahili and French. That's going to be in production in the next 2 months. And adaptation into other mediums. We already had somebody who's interested in animating an episode. What does it look like when it's an animation? What does it look like when it's a children's book? The great thing about children's content is how versatile and expansive it is. And so we're really excited to spend the next 2 years building out this broader thing in this new innovation space.
It's so wonderful to be here sharing this story with you and reflecting on the journey that we've come, on what it was like to begin the very first Cabrazen sketching. And so that brings me to this precise moment, why we're here and what we're looking for. Excited to be looking out into the audience because I know that there will be possible partners here. So for sure, distribution partners across Africa. We are experts in content creation, and we also recognize that there are experts in distribution. And that might be radio syndication, it might be integration into the education or learning systems. If Ministry of Education is here, come and say hello. It might be translation into other languages. It might be streaming solutions. And then, of course, marketing partners, people who really understand what it's like to be able to get this content to the children, the eyeballs to the children who need to see them and their caregivers. We're always looking and open for commercial partnerships. Again, Mora mentioned licensing, animation as a possibility. We'd love for every child to actually be able to listen to Cabrazen in their mother tongue. So what are the various languages that we can get this translated into? It's so important when you are thinking of that last mile for this podcast to not only exist in English, it must be in all the languages that the children dream in. And then in terms of impact, investment, and funding, what's really fantastic is that the Innovators-In-Residence program enabled us to experiment, which is something that African startups and innovators don't often have the luxury to do, and we're really grateful for that. And now with the HEVA Ignite Culture Fund and the Cabrazen Consortium, we're going to be looking at the value chain of a high-quality podcast, from production all the way to distribution. And so any sort of, this is a social impact. It will always be free. And so what does that model look like? We're interested in partners who are also interested in that question. The market is nascent, and we're kind of figuring it out what it looks like along the way. And so if that's also in your spirit, come and see us. And of course, the LAM Sisterhood does storytelling in all kinds of fields and mediums. So if you're looking for African feminist storytellers, come and say hello to us at the booth.